The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
You know, there are many people in the Kiruv world that they go and they say, listen, I tried so hard. Or even a friend. And they're like, I tried to talk to them to get them closer to religion. But it didn't work. They went back with their non-Jewish boyfriend and went back with their non-Jewish girlfriend and they're living their life. I guarantee you, every single word of Torah, every single word of Emunah, every single chizuk that you give somebody else, it affects them inside. It might not come out now, but it will eventually come out. There's a story that Rabbi David Asher brings down that there was a person that moved to America in the early 1900s, and as we know, in America in the early 1900s, you know, people fell from religion very quickly, and he had 8 children, and one child after another child ended up leaving religion, ended up assimilating. Finally, he had one last child. This is like the little boy, the last final boy named Mordechai. And he says, listen, he says, you're my last hope. And the father started crying. And he says, please, I'm begging you, stay with religion. Stay with Judaism. You're my only hope that has all your siblings are left it. But please, you stay with it. And he says, listen, Dad. He says, I get what you're saying. He was 16 at the time. He says, I'll try my best, but please don't cry. You know, like, I'll try. As the years goes by, and his father passes away, and Mordechai eventually ends up leaving the religion as well. And years go by, he gets married, and he has children. One day, his child calls him up, and he says, listen, I want to go to Israel, I want to visit Israel. His father says, fine, you know, enjoy. Completely live their lives completely secular. Finally, his son, which was named Shlomo, which is named after his father, which was his grandfather. He calls him up one day, and he tells his father, he says, listen, Dad, he says, I went to Or Sameach, I got a little taste of religion, I want to sit here and I want to learn. The father was like, what? Absolutely not. He hangs up the phone, calls his travel agent, older story, calls his travel agent before orbits, right? He calls his travel agent and he says, book me a next trip out to Israel. He goes and he books the next flight out to Israel. He's going to convince his son not to be religious, not to go and learn in yeshiva, not to follow anything with Judaism. And he gets on the plane and he's sitting on the plane. And as he's sitting on the plane, all of a sudden there's a single memory that comes back to him. The tears of his father that cried to him and says, please stay with the religion. Don't fall away. Don't. You're my last hope. And this image is like constantly haunting him as he's flying. And when he lands, he goes over to his son, and instead of convincing him to go away, he says, listen, you do what you need to do. You have my full support. What happened? The father went and he said, listen, you're my last hope. And he thought that that's it. This is all I have. And it ended up not working out. But deep down, there's something that sticks in our soul, in each and every single one of us, that'll come out at one point in time.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org